Well. I think I think the live is working. Hold on. Give it a sec. You know, is this thing actually going? Give me a sec. Give me a sec. We're gonna check something here. Okay. Oh shit. We're live. So, um I'm doing this again. As you can see, this is day 3 now. I'm doing this whole like urbanist YouTube content. Um you can see I've actually put on a new shirt, which is pretty cool. I actually do shower. It's just I don't have a lot of time to shower. I know some people say there's no excuse, but I don't really care. Let's see here. You can see I've actually put on a new shirt. Okay, audio sounds good. I have to do a little jerry rigging to get this like stream to actually be good this time. I'm waiting on a new Wi-Fi card. That will be cool when that literally gets here. Tomorrow. Tomorrow it should be here. But right now I'm using like a Wi-Fi extender, which I may have plucked. No, I'm just kidding. It's from my roommates. So it's working well actually. I'm getting like a solid connection, which I haven't had for like days. And shit, does it feel good to have this again. Anyway, we're in Fargo, North Dakota again today. I do currently live here, so that's cool and all. There is actually a lot going for Fargo. It's surprising because probably one of the most landlocked cities in the world. These lakes don't count. I guess maybe they do, but shit. We're like in the middle of nothing. But no, Fargo's actually been on the move. As far as urbanism goes, they've actually like started caring about their city, maybe is the best way to put it. And I think that's really cool. I think that is quite cool. I think it feels good to, actually be in somewhere that is like kind of progressive, even in North Dakota, which, yeah, you can be the judge of progressiveness. Actually, North Dakota is surprisingly progressive in like very weird ways, and urbanism seems to be one of them for some reason, but maybe that's only like in Fargo and probably specifically downtown Fargo. Anyway, I've talked about this place like a couple times now, like on stream, but shit, downtown is like moving in pretty solid direction. Like back in 2020, I think they finished this Broadway Square. They started construction on this building. This is probably the only example of a good third place in all of North Dakota. Probably in like more of an area than that too. You have public seating, great. You have green space. Yeah, it's turf, but it's actually like a common space, like a common open space in downtown Fargo. You have rolly chairs that look like those whiskey tumblers that like roll around on the table. Pretty sweet. And you have a bunch of food right near it, so people are like always eating here. One thing you'll probably notice though is like, dude, literally, this shit is insane. We built a 7-story parking garage in downtown Fargo, North Dakota, to store all of our private vehicles for between the hours of 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. But Zach, some people stay the night in Fargo. They're like, this is a hotel. They stay there. That's cool. That's great. That's probably the only like excuse for a downtown parking ramp in a very car dependent part of the country, which is pretty much all parts of this country. I always hear so many excuses like that we can't have great urbanism here in Fargo because, quote, it gets cold. That shit is like so lame. Like Fargo was actually around before cars. A lot of people don't know that because they've just grown up and only seen cars in Fargo. But no, this shit actually used to have like street cars, and it was cool. And they ripped it all up because parking all these cars on public streets and in these empty lots is so much more cool than actually building like a decent city. It's so unfortunate. There's like actually so much to talk about with this. I can't believe it, but we'll get there. We'll get there. Downtown Fargo, pretty good right now. They're filling in a lot of these empty lots. So let's see here. This lot right here used to be like it's just a parking lot. There's actually now they're building, it's called the Avery. So I could show you kind of example. Avery Fargo. Oh my God. So I don't know why tab doesn't work. Like, that shit's so dumb. But this is what they're building in downtown Fargo. It's a new theater for downtown, which is pretty sweet. It's like apartments at the front of the, on the street side of things. There's a new parking garage, which I'll get to. Here it is. I guess I got to it right now. This shit takes up like a third of all of the land of this new building. And for what? So more people can park their private vehicles in downtown Fargo. It's great. I get Fargo's very car dependent. Like, there's no way around that. So I think this is fine for now. I've seen things where people say these can be easily converted. The problem with converting a parking garage, something that's made for parking, into like an actual usable space, like as a resident of Fargo, like a living space or something else. The problem is it was made for cars. And that shit has like no window access except for the outside. So you'd almost have to like cut out the entire center of the parking garage to get some light in there. I mean, I guess you could create like you could do something cool with it, but it would be a massive disturbance to residents for like literally an entire year. I mean, you can't make this shit up. But it'll be good. It'll actually fill in some of Fargo's streetscape. On NP Avenue too, this is kind of where downtown Fargo's really like starting to expand their kind of street grid. People are actually like, they want NP Avenue to basically be another Broadway, which is cool. So this is Broadway right here, and that's basically the main street, not actually Main Street or Main Avenue. Broadway would be the main street of Fargo. But yeah, NP Avenue is great. They've started building these dedicated bikeways, marked. They seem to be pretty well maintained. Although someone was just killed here. I think so this intersection's actually dog shit. Someone was killed here. I don't know if it was because, I don't know if it was actually because of like someone not looking, or if it was because someone was actually like purposely killed here. I have no idea, but it was really weird. The person like backed over this dude like 2 times or some shit. It's insane. I can't even make this shit up in Fargo. They were building this building. It's cool and all, but like, man, there's just nothing around it. Like, there's some cool houses around it. Like, I mean, these should probably be turned into some more. I mean, this is a nice house, but like, it's not very dense. Also, like this apartment complex, let's build more of these guys. Just little buildings like this. Like, more of these. Sidewalk. I mean, this should all be sidewalk right now. First Avenue North is so cool because it's like it used to be a 3-way one-way for whatever reason. Now the shit's like a 2-way, and it's 2-way, but 1 way is 2 lanes. So I don't really understand this design. People claim it's so great for converting these like what used to be 3-way one-ways into 2-ways. Just fucking build more sidewalks, bro. It's not that hard. Dude. Literally nobody... I actually can't stand it. People, I mean, there's this little thing called induced demand. So the more roads you build, the more cars there will be. It's not like you can build roads to escape the problem of having traffic. But people think this all the time in the U.S. So In Texas, you end up with the Katy Freeway. It's like 24 lanes wide. Guess what? It still gets congested during peak hours, which of course it does, because every goddamn person in the entire metro area of freaking Houston is using this like road at the same time. Like, that's what happens when you don't build good infrastructure. That's what happens when you don't build public transit. Everybody uses the one method you've built, which is fucking road. Great. Get that out of the way. Anyway, I mean, downtown Fargo, moving in a good direction. I am a part of a little group here that promotes a lot of activism. I just gave a presentation to the Fargo City Commissioners and basically told them about our group and be like, yo, dude, your downtown's super profitable, but the rest of your city looks like dog shit. And there's really no saving them. If they don't want to, like, if they don't actually want to do anything about it, that's on them. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. These are the brand new, like, some of the newest apartments they've just built. I don't know. It's fine. Let's get more people in downtown Fargo, but these River House apartments, I mean, just no mixed use. Like, this entire place down here is parking. This entire city is just so car-brained. I mean, they don't really have a choice. I give them some leniency, but man, we really got to start, like, moving away from this. Let's see what else is down here. They've started building these, which are actually mixed use. I think overall these are probably pretty good. There's like another U-shaped one they're building right here. Yeah, so what they've done is there used to be like it was called the Lashkowitz high rise. I could probably show you what it used to look like. So if you slide back like a couple of years. So there used to be this building here, and it used to be like a 200-foot like affordable housing structure. It was filled with asbestos. It was built in like the 70s, so that shit was built, you know, with asbestos being like the material of the gods. And go figure, they blew it the fuck up because it's useless and it's full of asbestos. But the problem is, that building was like affordable housing. So a few of the new units, I believe, in this like riverside property are actually affordable. I mean, if you qualify for it. So I'd say that's probably good. But man, I mean, they blew up like, I don't know, a crazy dense structure that held a lot of people, that actually probably was pretty cool to live in when it was working, and downtown Fargo was semi-walkable. I mean, it's still semi-walkable, but, you know, it's come a long way since then. This whole city block, unbelievable. Actually disgusting that this even exists downtown. It's all parking, bro. It's all parking except for these two buildings. 3, I guess. This is all parking. Like, why? All parking, all parking. They actually did get rid of like a lot of parking lot here when they built this new city hall. Which is good. Like, pretty much all of this parking lot you see will probably be filled in within the next 10 years. Actually, I won't say all of it, but I bet you there's going to be some work on this plot of land within the next 10 years. And also, oh my God. So there was this really cool building they were actually proposing to build like on this parking lot right here. And it looked awesome. It was like super cool. They had like a giant tornado out front to represent like the tornado that hit Fargo 50 years ago or some shit. And it looked really cool. And they cut the funding for it. And then what they delivered was like this horrible looking building with a third of the size statue in front of it. I mean, the statue would have literally been like right on this corner and it would have been dope. Yeah, they just, I don't know, funding for it got cut somewhere and it ended up looking like dog shit, and the city commissioners didn't want it. And honestly, I don't blame them because it looked horrible. The renders were like half-assed too. I mean, I don't know. This is probably the best intersection when it comes to like actual like good ways to build intersections. This is a raised intersection. So if you don't know what this is, this is not a good picture of it because it was not raised. This is what it looked like before. So just straight, wide lanes, everything else. This was the old building that they've been working on for the past 2 years. They also like extended this parking garage. Anyway, they've extended this parking garage by a foot or so, or not a foot, by like a whole level. And then they built this like updated street in front of it with bike lanes. And they built a raised intersection with the bike lanes going across, marked for cars, everything. It's great. You see these raised intersections all the time in like cities like like Amsterdam in the Netherlands, and what they do is they essentially keep, first of all, level crossing for pedestrians. So if you're in a wheelchair, you don't have to like roll down a freaking cliff and then back up another cliff to get across the street. They lift up pedestrians within the intersections so they're more visible to vehicles, which keep getting bigger and, killing more people every year in this country. But, whatever. And they also just like act as a speed bump, kind of a speed ramp, sort of. So you actually get like, a bit of traffic calming in there as well. They're great. They should be at every intersection in Fargo, if I had to say, but we can only do so much. So it's a good start. If you probably didn't notice, like Fargo, like every other U.S. city, is about 50 years behind the rest of the world when it comes to urbanism. There's people here who will complain about that and be like, well, we can't have that because we have cars or it gets cold here. If you look at places like Texas and Florida, some of the like, and LA as well, some of the warmest cities in the freaking world, you have, or states and cities, you have the most insane amount of car dependency in those areas where like the most people live in this country. The only example to that would be New York, but that's not like a Sun Belt city. So it's just so disappointing. So I was born and raised in Bismarck, North Dakota, which is like 3 hours east or west of Fargo, and by car. And it's so, since coming to Fargo, I've like become this like urbanist. I've started watching like Not Just Bikes and being all over everything and being involved with my community. And I just can't seem to get away from this desire to live in a walkable, safe environment. Like when you look at some of the happiest people in the world, their cities don't look like this. Somehow Fargo ranks like top 10, top 20 for happiest cities in the US, and I believe it. It's like pretty okay. But man, it's I don't think it ranks anywhere near like some of the happiest cities in this world. One sec. Ugh. Oh my god. It's like way too cold or way too hot in here. So yeah, downtown Fargo, pretty solid. Fill in the parking lots, build less parking structures, build more housing. It'll be great. It'll actually be great once it's done. River access, I mean, this whole piece of land, this used to be like a freaking iron yard in the middle of North Dakota's most densely populated and biggest city. Like, there was an iron yard in the downtown. Like, who comes up with this shit? But anyway, they ripped it up because why would you have that downtown? That would be insane to put downtown. And they've left this hole that just looks so trashed. But it'll be really cool to see. This is some of like the most prime land in this state. And if nobody takes advantage of this, I will be so disappointed. What they should really do with this, so NP Avenue in downtown Fargo is like really cool. They're building bike lanes. They just extended the bike lane system like a little bit right here. They want to continue to expand it past Broadway all the way to Center Avenue across this bridge, which will be fucking sick, yo. Sound like freaking Skylar White. Skylar White, yo? Anyway. Then they want to do the same with 4th Street, and that'll be great. It'll be like a lot like downtown Minneapolis, which I have my qualms with, but it'll be a lot like the bikeways down there, as you can see. It kind of looks like the bike lanes downtown Minneapolis. If you want to check for yourself, I'm just focusing on Fargo's for today's stream because there's just like way too many cities in this country and way too many problems with urbanism. So anyway, they're going to continue the bike lanes down NP Avenue, Northern Pacific. And what Moorhead, Minnesota, right across the river, is doing is actually phenomenal. They've already built this 2-way bike lane on Center Avenue, which connects right up to NP, which I understand why they're building on this corridor now. Like, this vision is big, and it's good, and it will work, hopefully. So they've torn up this old mall, which, of course, let's put a mall downtown. Like, that's the greatest place to put a mall. You know, it's like the downtown that was there before, except with no housing on top, so it's okay. It's not mixed use, so it's great. I'll never understand. But anyway, obviously it didn't work, so they're tearing it up. They're keeping this is the city hall, so it's just this like very tall structure that is in the mall for some reason. I kid you not. I don't make this shit up. This is just how it is. So you have the mall. They're tearing it up. They're building a brand new library for Moorhead down here. They're keeping the parking garage, which is good because it's already built. If you're going to have a parking garage, don't build a new one, probably. It's the best way to go. They're building apartments here. They're building more streets. Like, the vision for this part of Moorhead is, like, actually sweet. And it'll be very cool once it's done. I'm very excited. They have also built these apartments. I think they're starting something new. I'm not actually sure. And then they're building like this whole underpass and shit. It'll be quite cool when it's done. There's some like mixed use buildings like over here. They kind of built like this little mixed use building, which is cool. I've gotten Domino's from here before. I don't know why they just did this one street. I mean, if you continued this like all over the city, that'd be cool. But yeah, one street. You got to keep going, guys. Like, this is the type of shit. So they'll build like a couple things downtown like this, a few buildings, and then you'll go to like South Moorhead, and then it'll just be like endless housing, and they'll just pour all their resources into this because you can't create a nice urban center in the U.S. apparently. That's just ridiculous. But they're doing it anyway, and I respect them immensely for that. But anyway, back to Fargo. If this whole plan works out, this land will be like 10 times more valuable, and it'll be so freaking sweet. It'll be like actually insane. It's already insane because it's right on the river. It's in the heart of both downtowns. This piece of land has to be worth like an insane amount of money. I couldn't give you a price range because I'm not like a realtor or like, you know, someone who sells land parcels. I don't know if there's a different name to that, but yeah, this is just prime real estate. It really is. What they've done is, so this is Main Avenue in Fargo, and what they'd say is this is technically a state-owned road, so it's hard to make changes to it, but somehow they can reduce it to like 2 lanes with a center turn lane, and that's okay, but they can't continue that like all the way down, which I don't understand. It's like it's already 2 lanes here. Just continue it. This is not used. There's like no traffic on this. There's some traffic on this. I mean, the thing is, you're not even going to be able to build your way out of traffic ever. Like, that's not a thing that you can do. But that's the design philosophy that we have here in the U.S. We build just insane amounts of road infrastructure for like no reason, and it doesn't even pay for itself, which is kind of the whole strong towns ideology. There's this group called Strong Towns, which I'm a part of here in Fargo. But basically they advocate for cities that pay for the infrastructure that, you know, is within the city. what you see in the US is when you sprawl this like shit out everywhere, there's too much infrastructure. So imagine you don't just have like the street infrastructure here that you have to maintain every 20 to 30 years, right? You don't just have these streets. You don't just have these sidewalks. You have underground piping. You have underground electrical wiring as well. It's not just like, there's the road, repave it. That's great. You actually lose money because there's so much infrastructure here for very little tax base, that you don't get like any profitability from your city. The cities should be profitable. They shouldn't be like a drain on our funds. They shouldn't cost more money to run than they make. You know what I mean? That's not a city. That's just like, I can't even come up with a word for it. Ridiculous. Actually fucking ridiculous. But that's what we see here everywhere in the US. And people will say, well, I like my big cardboard box. I'm being a little mean. People like houses, and that's great. People also like condos. People also like mixed use. Like, the problem is, in the US, and Fargo's okay about this, but a lot of places in the US, you get two options. You either rent an apartment, you either rent a home, so there's technically three options. You either rent or you own a house. And you can't own really anything in between. If you look at cities like, or countries like Spain and some of the biggest cities in Spain, their ownership rates are about like 80%. So 80% of the citizens within these cities in Spain own their condos. They own their homes. Not everyone lives in a house like this. People live in flats. People live in like condos, and people live in twin homes. They live in row houses, townhomes, and they actually own them. And it doesn't cost $500,000 that you'll be paying off for the rest of your life. It's like a much smaller percentage of your income, and you don't have to worry about driving everywhere. You don't have to worry about maintaining your car, or there's so many advantages that come with walkable cities that's just like beyond me, that we haven't grasped, taken advantage of this like basic fundamental ideology in the US. Monogamy, says Hyzak. I don't actually know who that is, so hello to you as well. But yeah, you get this just unsustainable infrastructure. There's a little bit of density, a little bit of duplex like action going on here in Moorhead, but you're really just going to run into the same issues where these cities aren't allowing a big enough tax base to be generated, and they're not allowing cities to prosper and quickly adapt to change and needs within the community. They're just like in status. So oftentimes in these new neighborhoods too, there's homeowners associations. It's little Benjamin Fritter. Hello, Ben. It's there's homeowners associations. So what a homeowners association does is it tries to, I mean, in the basis, it essentially preserves the current state of the neighborhood. So nothing can really change. There, you have to jump through like probably, hundreds of pages of paperwork to like even put up a mailbox in front of your freaking house. These environments cannot quickly adapt to needs within the community, and they become static. They don't evolve. They sit here, and they don't honestly look that appealing to me. This literally looks like every other place in the entire country. And that makes me sad. This country was born on, first of all, like railroads and this idea of freedom and independence. And yet when we think about the American dream, this is what we think about. We think about, I own my house, I own my car. But is that really freedom? Like, is it free to live in the same type of housing as everyone else and basically have no choice? Is it free to essentially have to drive my car everywhere within my city and have no other viable means of transportation? I would argue, no, that's not freedom. If you really want to talk freedom, I shouldn't have to have a base rate of owning a car to just move around my city. Yet that's fundamentally the reality of like Fargo, Moorhead, West Fargo, and pretty much the rest of this country. It's actually very disappointing. But yeah, so you have these collector roads is what they're called, like these little roads. I guess this would kind of be the collector road. These would be like just streets. So you'd have a collector, then you'd have like an arterial, like 40th Avenue leads to another arterial, like, I guess what street is this? 8th Street South. And you just have this design philosophy that is solely based around auto dependency. And what you create is an environment that's almost impassable by bicyclists, by pedestrians. This is a poor example because it's like, okay, yeah, there's actually a tunnel under here, and that's pretty cool. Like I said, Fargo Moorhead has done a lot of work to actually build up their bike infrastructure, make it safer for pedestrians, and provide sidewalk access like all over the cities. And that's pretty cool. But problem is, you still have to cross these intersections that are 4 lanes if you're crossing here, 6, 7 lanes wide if you're crossing here. Oh, and your median, like, I mean, this is the shit you're standing on. So imagine you can't cross this. You can't cross all this because you're like slow or in a wheelchair. Like, this would be a treacherous environment if you weren't able to drive, especially in the winter. Like, good luck fucking crossing that. It's not even shoveled. It's literally not. I mean, you're cooked, bro. You're actually cooked. And it's unfortunate. I believe in accessibility to places. I believe that people should have the right to choose how to get around their city. As long as it doesn't affect others. Problem is, car dependency kills 40,000 Americans in this country every year, which is the entire, like, if you want to see somewhere that's the size of 40,000 people, everything east of this river here, that's 40,000 people. Like, this is the size of a city that we're killing in our country every year due to auto dependency. If you look at death rates for children, cars kill more children than cancer does in this country. Look at the amount of investment we put into cancer research, cancer funding, cancer treatments for children. Why don't we apply that same philosophy to vehicles and auto dependency? It's disgusting. There's a gross little like fact. It's not gross, but I mean, it is the reality of it. So it's really gross to say because it's like you shouldn't put a value on human life. But if you look at how much the average person kind of contributes to society within their lifetime, it's around like $10 million. So if you really want to put the cost on a human life, it's like $10 million, which, argue that as you may, that's what someone contributes to society in their lifetime. And not to look at people like, oh, that's all they are, is just contributions to society. No, it's much worse than that. It's like these people are humans. They have their own lives. They have families. People shouldn't be getting killed by the transportation system within their city. Thing is, that's exactly what happens. So if you look at purely monetarily, the loss of 40,000 lives annually to this country, you're looking at $400 billion in financial losses just because people are being killed by our transportation system. Our transportation system is like one of the biggest killers in this country, and most people just brush it off like that's normal. It's disgusting. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to sit around and act like that shit's normal. Sorry. Nope. Not me. And not me. But beside that, that's a little, rant that I go on sometimes. I can't. I'm a numbers guy. I like numbers. I like looking at things in statistical ways. Unfortunately, that's the reality of a lot of this, like the freedom to drive in the U.S. The reality is it's killing us, and it's not getting better. So I'm an engineering student, 4th year. you're taught a design philosophy to build systems that are redundant, build systems that are safe for users, reduce user errors. The U.S. transportation system, which is solely dependent on automobile like usage and I guess the ease of using an automobile, is like none of those things. I own a cement factory and I love cars and car infrastructure. That's great. That's actually great. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, seriously, you live in a very auto-dependent part of the country, part of the world. It would be perfectly normal to own a cement factory and love cars and car infrastructure. That's a normal thing to like. The problem is it's literally killing us and burdening our cities financially, mentally, physically, not just our cities, but our residents as well. Some of the biggest like mental health issues in this country are directly related to like noise levels. So if you can't access like a quiet space for so many hours a day, or whatever the statistics are behind that there, if you can't access a quiet place to calm down, you're going to be stressed. And if you live like by a 4-lane, 5-lane road like I do, that shit's just all day, like all night. I can't have my windows open when I sleep because it's like too loud. That's kind of what I'm saying. You don't understand. I'm better than you. Nervous laughing emoji. People who are better than me don't usually have to say it because they can just prove it by being better than me. So, but maybe you are. Maybe you are. You could be the exception to that rule. Anyway, yeah. Broadway downtown is great. They're trying to build a lot of like, more walkability into their downtown. Fargo has been popping off in the past 10, 15 years. They've started putting a lot of time into their downtown, a lot of investments. They've brought back like Renaissance zoning so you can get like tax breaks by living and building and developing downtown. It's great. It's like, this is the shit we should be promoting. Our downtown produces the most taxable income for the city per acre in like compared to the rest of the city. Downtown is insane when it comes to taxable revenue. And it actually pays for the infrastructure down here. You have, like, if you look at it, right? So you have a business here, you have a business here, you have a business here, business here, business here, business here, and you have housing on top of all of that. The tax base of this alone is so crazy that not only does it pay for all of the infrastructure that it is using, like, look at this. This street provides access to like 10, 20 businesses and like dozens and dozens of apartments. This one small street. It also provides access to parking, which could be argued is not necessary in this sort of environment, but it does provide that as well. And it's great. If you look at some of the there's these graphs there's this group called Urban 3, and they do these graphs like pretty much everywhere. And what they do is they show like basically a spike. So here, I'll show it. Urban 3. So Urban 3 is a great like company. They do these kind of spike maps that show positive returns on investment for the city per acre and negative return on investments for the city per acre. And you kind of end up with graphs that look like this one. Oh man, this is like super small. Lafayette. So this is Lafayette here. Where do you think the downtown is in Lafayette in this image? Take a second, actually think about it, because you could probably guess where it is. It's this ginormous fucking spike right here. What's crazy is when you look at this spike and you look at all that taxable revenue, you might ask yourself, why don't we just build that like all over a city? Thing is, the U.S. has artificially restricted this growth, this potential, to a very small portion of their cities, by creating the only mixed-use environments like right at the core of their city, and they make it very hard to expand that outward. So mixed use and land development that looks like an actual city is restricted to a very small portion, land area wise, of the city. Which means that potential and this taxable revenue can't be distributed throughout the city because these zoning laws prohibit it. So why not just change the zoning laws? Because everything in this country is faced with like 20 miles of red tape that you got to cut your way through if you want to get anything done. That's the problem. So you see another spike here. This spike is a newly built, walkable, mixed-use environment in Lafayette. And wow, the spike is like, competing with downtown Lafayette. This shit's insane. The issue is, when you look at all of this negative area under Lafayette here, all of this are drains to city finances. They are negative return on investments. So these areas with the massive red spikes underneath don't actually produce. The property tax they produce does not pay for the infrastructure that it takes to maintain those environments, those areas within Lafayette. It's like super disappointing. Moral of the story: this should be embraced. We should be building this everywhere. This should be the norm. And not just to this scale, but like we should slowly, incrementally be building up our cities to be profitable and produce for our residents and not be a negative return on investment. When you start looking at these old neighborhoods that have some walkability because they were built before car dependency really took off in the US, these parts of the country or city of Lafayette are positive return on investment still, which means the tax base is strong enough to support the infrastructure and maintenance of the infrastructure within those neighborhoods. These people are often in poorer situations financially because our ideology is of building cities within the U.S. has spread everyone to the edges, instead of being and leaving people oftentimes, with lesser income, restrained financially within the center city. It's like typically poor people are unable to move just willy-nilly out to the edges of the city. So these areas are positive return on investments. They're full of people who are of lesser income and provide funds to the city that actually pay for themselves. So where do you think this money goes? This money goes out to these people, these new projects, these maintenance projects that are debt fueled. They don't have positive return on investment and are subsidizing the people of higher income. So in the US, the poor subsidize those with more income that can afford to move to the outer edges of the city and continue to live in the ever-evolving urban sprawl that every U.S. city loves to build. Same shit in Fargo. And that is why the Renaissance zoning and Renaissance tax breaks are so cool. You actually are starting to shift that idea of building solely sprawl to the rest of the city, or back to the downtown, which is like super cool. Same shit in Fargo. So that's Fargo, North Dakota's downtown, essentially. I mean, if anyone has any questions, like, feel free to ask. Like, this shit is so fascinating. And it's not even my field of study. Like, that's how cool it is. U.S. cities used to be so cool. They used to be walkable. They used to be transit-friendly, bikeable, all this shit before the automobile. After the automobile, they started looking like this. And there's really no way of, flipping that around unless you actually put in effort, unless you actually want people to build these environments again. If you're curious what downtown's map looks like, or Fargo's map looks like, as far as that tax revenue per acre goes, it looks exactly like the Lafayette situation. looks exactly like this. I've seen the maps. Let's see if I can pull one up here, but it looks pretty much the same. Um, let's see. Downloads. I can pull up a slideshow here. So this is a little presentation I gave to the city commission just on Tuesday. Little Strong Towns, Fargo, great stuff. I love this group, and they're probably like some of the best people I know. Thing is, I just got to show this one slide. This is the slide for Fargo, North Dakota. This is our downtown urban center. This is the shit that is profitable. It is creating wealth within our city. All of this in red is probably, I can't say for certain because this graph doesn't show it, but we've done a few financial analyses of Fargo, and this shit is like almost certainly a negative return on investment. The infrastructure, there's too much of it to actually produce wealth within the city, and basically the maintenance costs of maintaining all this infrastructure is greater than the taxes collected from these single family zoned environments. So what's so cool about this? Well, I'll just stop presenting here. What's cool about this is our downtown that was built before the automobile is still the most profitable land in our city of Fargo. A great city of Fargo. It's so great. Here's West Acres. West Acres, like almost every other mall in the U.S., was built to give back that idea of a walkable environment. So you drive your car to the mall, you park in a sea of like parking lots, and you walk into the mall, and it's like you're in a downtown again, except no housing and no people just walking around. You've created a pseudo walkable environment that per acre is dozens of times less profitable than your city centers are. It's really an embarrassment. This is still pretty, like, this is pretty decent. Like, yeah, for Fargo, like, that's okay. That's pretty good. But look at the downtown. Like, this map is pretty old too. It's probably like 8 years old. But downtown is still going to be where all of your money is. All of your taxable income really is. Not all of it, but, you know, a good sum of it. So much so that downtown Fargo is like 1% of the actual area within Fargo, and it contributes to 6% of the taxable income to the city of Fargo. It's like so interesting. It's the fact that people don't see that and people don't jump on it and build it is, I mean, it's fueled by like 70 years of auto dependency in our country and auto lobbying from these automakers to keep people in cars and keep people driving cars and keep people building environments that solely restrict you to driving a vehicle nearly everywhere. It's the type of logic that is actually reducing our freedoms in this country. I'm one that is very much like pro-independence, like pro-transit accessibility and accessibility within cities. When you create environments like this, you're just reducing that access for not only people who want to walk and bike, people who need to, or people who literally can't drive. Like, imagine you live anywhere that isn't downtown and you have to access your daily needs by walking or rolling if you have a wheelchair. Like, so many environments within Fargo are inhospitable to people outside of a vehicle. I've shown you the good. I've shown you downtown Fargo. This is pretty much as good as it gets when it comes to urbanism in this city. If you start looking at 13th Avenue, so let's go to the mall. So here's the mall. This is West Acres. That in that picture you saw is about 6 times as profitable as downtown is. It's surrounded by all of this land that is solely purposed for parking private vehicles on and doesn't actually generate any income for the city. If you want to sit here and tell me that we have so much land in this country that land isn't valuable, I would challenge that every single day. If land isn't valuable, Why don't we just give it all away? Like, why don't we just sell it all? Because land has been the thing people have fought over for the past, like, 100,000 years of human civilization. I mean, I don't know if human civilization goes back that far, but people have been fighting each other for land as the base resource, like, for all of time. And we're going to act like this is a good use of it just because we have access to so much land. There's no way of getting around human psychology. Human psychology creates environments like this in the short term, but in the long term are not profitable and not valuable because it's not what people desire. This is not a desirable space to be. Maybe if you're in this like small stretch inside, but overall this is like not a welcoming environment. And that's part of the reason why malls are dying in this country. It's like people don't want to go to malls anymore. They want cities back. They want to feel like they're part of a community. They don't want to be stuck like in these environments that are just horrendous to not only drive in, but God forbid you do anything but drive in them. Like, you're screwed. It's no mixed use. There's no housing on top of this. So people will build strip malls like all over the U.S. like this. So here's a strip mall. There's probably another one I can see quickly. Here's another one. Here's another one. Strip mall. This shit is the only difference between this and a mixed-use building is there's no houses. There's no housing on top of this. There's no housing on top of this. And then you build housing like this, and you don't provide easy access to these environments. So this is something that occurs all the time in this country. The way land is developed, it restricts access to, like, huge portions of the city. You have all of this housing here, right? And you would have a demand for people to walk to, like, Target. But there's no, like, quick way to walk to Target or these stores. Like, if you wanted to walk without climbing this fence, because there's a ginormous fence here, you'd have to, like, let's say you lived here and you wanted to go to Target. Well, since there's no, like, easy paths, you're going to have to walk pretty much all the way around here, all the way back, and then to Target. Which, yeah, it's a pretty short walk as far as, you know, Fargo goes, but overall, it's, like, not convenient at all. Your sidewalks are nice. They're not right up against the road here, but it's just, this is an example of something you see all the time in the U.S. and in U.S. cities, is there's a demand for people to walk to these stores from these places, but not a single, like, walking path is built. What else do we have here? All this parking. So the reason there's so much parking here is because there's a thing that most cities in the U.S. implement called parking minimums, which means every time a new developer comes in and develops land, the city mandates these developers to build a certain amount of parking that is oftentimes based on peak usage. And even then, it's kind of arbitrary how these numbers are calculated. So you have this parking lot. This is probably like a busy portion of the day for this Target. What you'll notice is almost all of this parking, about half this parking, isn't used. And yeah, Target's popular in this country, or in Fargo. So this is a pretty well used lot, let's say. What's not so well used, Burlington Clothing Store has nearly the same amount of parking. And you really think more people are going to Burlington than fucking Target? Do you really think that? Do you really think that Burlington needs this much parking? Do you really think that all of this parking is necessary to support 1, 2, 5, 6, 7 businesses? Insane. It's not necessary at all. And even during like peak hours, like, or peak times of the year, like Black Friday, which a lot of companies are moving away from anyway, And you've seen this shit with Target when they show their Black Friday deals, and it's you pull up the freaking sign and it's the same deal it was prior. These corporations are moving away from Black Friday. They're distributing their deals, probably providing less deals throughout the year, and moving away from Black Friday. So not only do you build all this land for one day of the year, it then becomes useless all the rest of the year, essentially, and is really just like so disappointing. To stop swearing multiple sign, heed this. It's my stream. I appreciate the concern, but it is my stream, so thank you. Yeah, I mean, you'll build these huge swaths of parking for a few businesses, and 90% of the time, they're not being fully utilized. And case in point, this is a huge waste of land. I don't even know if people go. I don't even think this is open anymore because nobody's ever parked here. But, like, here's one restaurant that is this big. They have a lot of seating, sure. But, like, look how much parking there is. You're telling me this place is busy enough to have this much parking? I think Paradiso's of Fargo personally needs more parking. Yeah, parking in... Yeah. Let's look at Paradiso. Thanks, Riley. That's a great comment, by the way. Yeah, actually probably does need more parking. You can see how well utilized it is. But Zach, this might not be peak hours. You don't actually know if all of that gets utilized. Crazy shit, right? This is a lot of parking for this. This is like all parking for Paradiso. Nuts. And Fargo is also building just like probably every country across. Acapulco is better. I've never been there. But it probably is because Paradiso is not that great. Sorry to disappoint. It's always peak hours at Paradiso. That's what they say, huh? They do say that. What they're building here is another freaking Tommy's Express car wash. So, Tommy's Express is a car wash. Is literally just a car wash. That's all it is. I don't even understand how these places actually are profitable for not only the city but for themselves. This much land for washing your car, I think, from what I've read online, and this is probably not true. They probably are profitable, but I can't imagine they're that profitable, especially when they're not charging for their freaking vacuums. These things, I think, are built to almost just maintain like a net income that pays for the rent and property taxes associated with the building. And in the end, the hope is that you'll essentially pay no money, probably make very little income, and then the land that the Tommy's Express car wash was built on will become more valuable in the future. So it's like owning land and not renting it out, but also there's no way those car washes make money. That exactly. And with how many there is, you're telling me the demand for car washes in this country, Riley, has increased like tenfold within the past 5 years? I refuse to believe that. So just to give you an idea of how many freaking car washes there are in Fargo, there's Tommy's Express here. They're building another one here. They're building another one here. There's already one here. And this already has a car wash. This freaking gas station. I don't wash my car. There's one behind North Walmart in Bismarck in the middle of a random field. Yeah, I believe that. I would have to go up there and look because I haven't been up there in a while. But yeah, they just build like parking lots everywhere, or not just car washes. It's insane. I mean, they're not like expensive car washes. I mean, it's like $10 for the cheapest thing. That seems fine. I don't know. I guess. I don't care about my car enough to wash it, so I let the rain do the work, the dirty work. But that's what you'll see here. This part of Fargo is just inhospitable. It's disgusting. It's actually kills people. These intersections are beyond dangerous. I mean, shit. Imagine crossing, was this 9 lanes of traffic in a wheelchair? Like, tough luck, bud. Actually, tough luck. You're cooked. All this parking for, the thing is, parking lots serve a purpose. They allow cars to park on them. What do you think where do you think these cars are parked during hours of, during non-business hours? They're not parked here. This is land that is only utilized for a third of the day during work hours. And even then, it's probably not fully utilized. You have Walmart, more massive parking lots. You have Lowe's. Really telling me this is going to be full of people going to Lowe's on even Black Friday or even the busiest construction day of the year? I don't think so. Texas Roadhouse, I will argue that this is probably the only parking lot in Fargo that is fully utilized like almost every day. There's probably another one, but this one is utilized like crazy. Anyway, it's just the same shit all the way down 13th Avenue. It's just massive amounts of parking. This is pretty typical as far as U.S. cities go. It's an embarrassment. Really, it is. And yeah, that's this lot is so underutilized that they put a corn maze there. Yeah, I've never seen an empty Texas Roadhouse. That's true. Like if anywhere needs the parking in this city and in any city, it's Texas Roadhouse. Probably attracts a lot of Texans with big trucks, so I would think that would be part of it. But yeah, if we go back to this like presentation here, oh shit, we go back to there we go. This map here, where we see the property taxes generated per acre in Fargo, you don't see environments like 13th Avenue rising to the top. I mean, this is 13th Avenue over here. Does this look like a profitable environment? No. It's just low tax base. It's not great for the city. The amount of infrastructure is insane to support all of that. When you look at downtown, way less infrastructure, way more density, way more mixed use. You actually see positive return on investments. You see good income as far as taxes go for the city of Fargo. You don't see that shit on 13th Avenue. Stop building it. It's not good for the city. Build a bit more mixed use. See some good results. This little plot of land up here, this little spike, what it looks like to me, and if we go to that place on Google Maps here, I don't think it's like this portion. I believe it's this building here, because these houses are like, I don't know. These houses are torn up now. They're actually building like an apartment complex on this corner. But if you look here, you see these mixed use buildings, like these ginormous spikes where there's mixed use, which is just, I mean, should say enough right there. And yeah, I mean, we should be building more mixed use in this country. We should have been doing it for the past 50 years already, but we haven't been. So is the solution to give all the parking lots in the whole city to Texas Roadhouse, or build Texas Roadhouse in every parking lot? The solution would actually be to provide more access and not build parking lots. But if you're going to have to build, if I have to choose one here, the better of these two would probably be building a Texas Roadhouse in every parking lot. I mean, there's demand for another Texas Roadhouse in this city, so sure, adding a few more, yeah, no big deal. Create a lot of jobs too. Everyone works at Texas Roadhouse, and that's all you eat every day. And fuck, I would not blame them for eating that. Those buns are, oh my god. I'm just thinking about them now. I gotta stop. But yeah, if you look at like, let's look here at this map again. There's some spikes of like pretty good like income in these areas. So if you look at this part of Fargo right here, which is where is that? Somewhere around here. What you see is you see these town style homes. You see houses connected. You can still have your car. You can still have all this infrastructure and no mixed use and access to this like water, this little like man-made lake here. And you still create a decent tax base for Fargo. If more people develop places like that, Fargo would be in a lot better position as far as city finances go. If you look here, there's like this little place next to the school. So if we go back, go to the school right here, and you look at these environments that are generating a lot of tax revenue for the city, you see that this little kind of green area right here is this environment. It's essentially a very European style housing with these small backyards. Everybody gets their own backyards. It's a different option of housing, so it's not solely single family or apartments. You very well could be able to own these probably. If these are condos that you can own, that'd be pretty sweet. Parking is over here, which is still a lot of parking. But you have a walkable common space here, inviting. You have a little campfire. You have common green space. Everybody has a small backyard, you know, keeping whatever they need fenced off. 2 floors, garage, and like if that's all you need, which for most people it certainly is, you can have a good tax base for your city. The hospital is what I believe that giant spike is. I think it's just a hospital. I think that's all it is, because it's definitely not the church. No taxes on that shit. They are building another mixed-use building, like right across from this hospital. So right here, you can see when this 3D data was taken, they were just building this mixed-use building. So it's basically a strip mall, right, with parking out front. Except there's housing on top of it. That's the only difference. You can still access your shops. You can still use a parking lot to go shopping. Thing is, all these people up top now have places to live. You've incrementally increased the density of your city, and you've done it without being that invasive. And these are quick steps we can implement to like increase the tax base within our city, make our cities profitable again than this country. If you look here, I wonder what that is. I think it's more what is that? Okay, is this it? This must be it here. Okay, so these are just like a few businesses that are Shields corporate office. So Shields, it looks like. And I'm sure these are pretty great for as far as city finances go. So there is obviously exceptions to this. Like if a place is very profitable, yeah, it's going to make more money for the city. But as far as the average goes, environments like this, where single family zoning, a lot of infrastructure, oftentimes negative return on investments for the city, you're just not going to have a tax base. You're not going to have an environment that people want to live in. I mean, if these places were truly valuable, they would show it, and they don't. So there's a lot that goes into this. Finances is part of it. But yeah, the university. This is probably one of the craziest parts in Fargo. South University Drive. I took a whole class in architecture, basically about the built environment and how it affects us, and what feels inviting versus what doesn't. walking in this environment between two streets, like this is the sidewalk on South University. This is what you're walking on. You're walking between two streets. One that is 6 lanes, 40 plus miles an hour. The other that's probably 30 miles an hour. And the whole environment is like asphalt, and this is like just not welcoming at all. I guess if you want to go to Tommy's Express, it's pretty welcoming. Pretty easy access to that. But other than that, it's just not that great of a space. And you see that here. You see this environment. Almost every business on this road is in the red as far as city finances go and taxable revenue goes. It's just a horrible, horrible place. It's not welcoming at all. Let's see what that one building is. This is what is this? This is a retirement home, right? This has to be a retirement home. I guess that makes pretty good taxable revenue density. Great. But yeah, one thing I've seen, this is a Blue Stem, so I just saw like Bare Naked Ladies. They performed here live a few months back, and it's pretty sweet actually. Fun concert. If you don't know who Bare Naked Ladies is, Big Bang Theory. Big Bang, yeah. That was them. They sang that. Thing is, so the access here is really bad. If you're driving, there's a good amount of parking, which is just like all this green land. So cars just park on this dirt, which is probably for the best as far as draining goes. But the amount of people that bike here is like ludicrous to me. Here, I'll drag this little guy. We can kind of look. They have this bike rack. They have this bike rack. The amount of bike racks here, like the amount of people who bike to Blue Stem, is baffling to me. When I went to the concert, I was just so impressed by the amount of people who just like walked to Blue Stem. Thing is, they want to build a bridge right here to connect people to Blue Stem, and that would be sweet. You'd probably get a lot of people parking on these roads, which I'm sure would be fine. People can park there, and just walking over. You could also create access for all these people to just like walk to here. They wouldn't have to drive all the way around. I guess they'd only have to drive down here, but still, there's no sidewalk access here. And the next bridge is I guess I-94, but yeah. Blue Stem is a big venue and essentially just needs more people to come to this environment and be able to easily access it. Yeah. Anyway, there's a lot to talk about here in Fargo. I'll probably keep doing streams like this. They're fun. Thanks to everyone who joined this. I'm so surprised at how many people actually were sticking around watching. I'll be surprised to see if it's not just my parents turning on every TV again. That would be it'd be pretty crazy. But anyway, yeah, I'm probably gonna end it here. If there's any ideas, feel free to drop them below. Any other cities you want me to go over and kind of discuss and look at some good, bad, and the ugly of urbanism wherever in the world. I'm sure there's a lot better examples in Fargo. Just let me know. I'm curious to look at everything, and I'm pretty much open to any ideas at all. But if there are no ideas, I'm just going to continue to rant and say my opinion, and just keep touting urbanism content until something changes. Don't worry, I'm actually advocating for it too in this city, great big city of Fargo. But yeah, I appreciate everyone who stopped by. I'll be back, don't worry. My new Wi-Fi card comes tomorrow, and then we will have some real change. And hopefully the streaming quality is just as good I've had having a good time streaming today, and no loss to the content, which is sweet. All right, I will